Here with the NFL Live crew, off-season in full swing. Let's focus on the NFC North. Team that needs to make the biggest move. Really, who's got the biggest hole to fill?
All right, I'll start with the Green Bay Packers, and the only thing I can remember about them is them getting gashed versus the San Francisco 49ers versus the run. I mean, Garoppolo only had to throw it barely 10 times or 8 times or whatever it was. Blake Martinez may be out of there. He's a free agent. Do they replace him with another linebacker through the draft or someone more with speed? Kenny Clark bringing another defensive tackle in there. But, man, what a way to end the season by getting gashed versus the run. So shore up that run defense.
It's funny. We're talking about defense. Vikings situation just as precarious in their defensive backfield. They've got 5 guys that are about to hit the open market in free agency. 2 were starters this past season, 1 a major contributor. If they don't find a way to lock them up, I literally don't know what they're going to do. Their salary cap situation is not great right now either. So that is a serious question mark for the Vikings heading into 2020, something they're going to have to resolve in the coming months, I would say.
I'm going to talk about my hometown team, the Bears. And look, they have a guy in the position in Trubisky as the quarterback, but I think they need to fill that spot with somebody that is a little bit more capable. You look at last year, they've had the defense for 2 years now. They've had the defense, but they're starting to get wore out because they've been on the field too long. In the offensive system, they need a quarterback that could throw the football down the field. I feel like when you watch him, it's inconsistent. His throws are inconsistent. Managing the game is inconsistent. And I think if Chicago wants to move forward and be a bigger contender in the division, they have to have a better quarterback.
Cam Newton? Cam Newton?
You want Cam there?
Yeah. Tom Brady?
Brady? They don't have much cap space, so I don't think they'll make it.
Here with the NFL Live crew, NFL offseason in full swing. So let's take a look at the NFC South. Which team do you think needs to make the biggest move? Or, like, what's the biggest hole to fill?
I mean, if you're the Saints, all your quarterbacks are free agents, so you got to get that figured out, right? But even whoever it ends up being, I think that offense needs another reliable option besides Michael Thomas in the receiving game. So even if Breeze comes back, I think they need to make an upgrade there.
Yeah, they do, and I want that pressure off of my nephew a little bit. But when you look at Atlanta, the Atlanta Falcons, I think defensively, they've got to retool some things on defense. They're going to let Beasley walk. They need to replace him, but it all starts with getting after the quarterback. They've got to figure out how to do that.
How about a hole you have, but I say make it bigger in terms of the Carolina Panthers. And you're letting all of this leadership go in terms of, Luke Kuechly's retired. Go ahead and let Cam Newton go, Greg Olsen go. You form such a big hole that you end up losing so many games, and there's Trevor Lawrence waiting on the other side.
Oh,
right
that's
there
daring.
at Clemson.
That's
down the road thinking, Susie.
He's a big picture guy.
Daring. Here with the NFL Live crew, focused on the NFC East. Guys, what would you say is one of the biggest moves that needs to be made? Maybe a team with the biggest hole to fill.
Damien, I got to say, the Philadelphia Eagles need to figure out their wide receiving core. Look, they dealt with some injuries this year, some drops from Nelson Aguilar from here in there that we heard plenty about, but Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey dealing with injuries. But ultimately, at the end of the year, their top pass catchers were 2 tight ends and a running back. And that's just not going to do it for Carson Wentz moving forward. Aguilar is set to hit the open market. Deshaun Jackson's 33 years old, dealing with core muscle surgery. So they've got to address that, whether in free agency or the draft. It's got to be a priority.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with the New York Football Giants. The Giants have been traditionally known about defense. They have, no identity on that side of the ball, particularly at pass rush. They need guys on the defensive line, whether it be defensive end or some type of outside linebacker that can get after the quarterback. They sorely need that.
Hello, everybody. Wendy Nix, Keyshawn Johnson, Teddy Bruschi from NFL Live. Already, teams looking ahead, trying to figure out what's next, what pieces need to be in place. Let's focus on the NFC West for just a minute. Key, what team needs to make what move?
Well, I think when you look at the NFC West, the Rams, they need to make a move at running back. And you say, well, why? They got Todd Gurley. They just paid him a bunch of money. I don't think that marriage is for long. I think they need to make a decision on whether they're going to trade him, cut him, because they're not getting the production out of him that they paid for. And it's not necessarily his fault. He was injured a little bit. In order to get back to that big play action pass game, they got to have a running back to make that threat.
And I'll go to the Seattle Seahawks, and on the defensive side of the ball, what makes that defense best is pass rush. And they got Clowney. They traded for Clowney. Solidify that. Get that contract finished. Ziggy Ansah is also a free agent. but you just can't have one on one side. You got to get another pass rusher for the other side so that defense all works together.
You know, interesting division. In so many divisions, we'd point to one team who needed a quarterback, but in this instance, they're all relatively set, and there's some other needs that need to be met. You can catch us on NFL Live every weekday.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app, and for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.